You can't see it. It's a virus. You can't see
Hmm.
where it is, and that's the scary part. Is that you're not sure if you're safe or if you're clean, and you try to take precautions, but you're never 100% sure.
And it's like I was thinking every day, like, what if like the last time I talked to my dad or my mom, that was the last time I was going to talk to them, you know? And that may have been the result just because someone thought it's okay to go out to a bar once.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be a bit weird to actually go back to normal life. I can't imagine going to a club anymore. I feel so. I feel like I have
It's
PTSD, and I can't do a British. I can't do a British accent. I've been watching the Great British Baking Show, and I'm trying to learn how to do a British accent. It's not going very well.
I, I wish you could see your girlfriend looking at you from behind when you're trying to do your British accent.
Yeah, yeah, goodbye 2020. Yeah. It was just surreal. It felt surreal. Did you enjoy your New Year?
I did enjoy my New Year. It was very small. We'll get into it later, but like like myself and my family have already had it, so like we did something very small where we just kind of stayed at home for most of the time, and then we went to an empty room with my brother playing guitar, and we just kind of listened to him play songs as we counted down the new year.
So, you had it, and I'm gonna say that you had.
I had. Do you want me to actually say it? Or do you want me to code it with something?
You can code it if you want, but I don't know why you would code it. What's the point?
I didn't know if you were hinting at me to do that, or if you wanted to say I had the coronavirus. I got it, and it was to give a, not no spoilers, no big spoilers, but it wasn't pleasant to say the least.
Did you survive?
I yes, I
Okay.
think yes. I gave it some thought, but yeah, I made it.
Ah, okay. So you had coronavirus. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you're okay, and I'm glad to hear that your family is okay. I understand that your family also contracted the virus. Is that right?
Yes, my family contracted. I was out of all my immediate family, I was the last one to get it, but it did extend out to um, uncles, cousins as well. And I contracted it because I made. I'll take full blame for it. I made a decision that for Thanksgiving break I would go home and see my parents, but only under the pretense that they all got tested and they came out positive, and that means my sister, my two
Negative.
parents, because my sorry, negative, yes, negative. Sorry, I just really wanted to rush it and get it.
Yeah, yeah,
No, but because like my brothers had just recently had it, and I knew my parents had been in contact with them, but they wouldn't got tested. They came back negative. I wouldn't got tested. I was negative, and we'd all been very safe. So I was like, okay, cool, we're good to go. Went down there, had a great time. But my dad and my mother started showing symptoms. And at first, it just seemed like a mild flu, but then it started escalating. My dad got retested and he came back positive. And then I immediately left, after that. But it was too late. We'd already, been close to each other and everything, and I contracted it as well. And it was a rough experience for all of us. I think out of all of us, the only person who didn't get it terribly too bad was my older brother. He just had a loss of taste and smell, which was a very weird sensation for him. But the rest of us, I believe, had like the chills, sweats, the fever, hard to eat sometimes, very difficult to breathe, and which was very scary for um, my parents, because they're older. For me, it was just very, it was just, it just hurt real bad, especially in the morning, the night during winter time when the air was drier. I had to turn my humidifier. I had to have pots of boiling water going at all times so I could just efficiently breathe in my home. I was still able. I'm a fairly healthy person, so I probably didn't get hit as hard as other people. So I was still able to move around and do stuff in my apartment. I could like hop on an exercise bike and go at a steady pace to just keep myself moving, But I had to be completely quarantined, and there's some days where it was pretty rough, where it was hard to just even get myself to come up because it was just hard to breathe. And that was kind of my experience for about the first week. I had it for about like 2 weeks, really, in total time. But that first week was really, really hard.
Okay. And for the experience, when, like, if, let's say, Monday is the day that your family was showing symptoms, at what point did you start to feel the symptoms?
3 days later.
Yeah, so it'd be like a Wednesday or Thursday around then. If it were talking like Monday is like the first day, right? So day one, your family shows some symptoms. You said your father and your mother were starting to feel ill. Is that right?
Yeah, like they'd shown like some very, very mild things, like a mild cough and stuff like that. But it seemed like, oh, they're just, nothing big. Just they coughed like once in a great while. But then my dad couldn't even, to watch him like stand up from the couch. So he's like 55, 56. To watch him stand from the couch was like one of the most excruciating things to watch him do. And then trying to watch him walk up the stairs, I kind of followed behind to make sure, he didn't fall or nothing like that. Because he said his whole body just felt like it weighed like an extra 15 pounds. Every muscle ached. And then also he's, fighting to breathe and stuff like that. So, and I experienced some of that as well. I felt heavier when it came to moving about, like my breathing. It started out as just like doing exercise before it hit me hard. Doing exercise, I could just feel like I would just get tired much faster, and then eventually it came to like it was just hard to breathe. But yeah, they got it, and then 3 days later, that's when it started hitting me pretty hard.
Okay, and then when you were experiencing symptoms, at what point did it go from like, okay, I have a little bit of a cough to this is affecting my day-to-day, right? Like I have to be in bed, or actually, how much did it affect you? Like you were saying it was hard for you to work out, you had to turn on the humidifier, but like, were you stuck in bed the whole day, or how did it work out there?
I think because and I will say this is just from personal experience because I know the type of person I am, because I have a little more energy than the natural person. I'm pretty young, I'm coming up on 30 here.
He's not.
I am. Don't let the beard fool you. I also, as a result, I grew this beard because I didn't want to shave because I was tired.
Because he's old.
Anyways, I'm a little bit more of an active person. I wanted to stay active, so I would do things like ride my bike at a slow pace, do minor things in my home. But that was also predicated that I could only do it if the humidity in my apartment was very high. If I didn't turn on my humidifier, I didn't boil any water, impossible. Couldn't do it. It was absolutely miserable. I hated it. I had to like constantly get like numbing medicine for my throat. I had to be taking Tylenol, like this very high strength Tylenol, NyQuil, stuff like that. Without that stuff, I couldn't do anything. But I say, yeah, the first 3 days I came back. Like when I left and I came back, those first 3 days, it was just simply, I just felt like when I worked out, I felt tired. Like when I was running, I could just feel I was off like half a step. I feel like I had to catch my breath just riding my exercise bike, much more than usual. And then about day 3.5, 4, like I was like, after my workout, I felt the chills. I felt a shiver. I didn't want to move. It was one of those things like your skin, like you feel hot, but you also feel cold at the same time, and you just can't get control of it about how many blankets you put on you. And I did struggle to eat solid foods. Like if I ate something solid, like it definitely hurt my stomach. So I was like an all liquid diet, soups and like smoothies, things like that. And it did affect me doing things. Like I didn't want to shave, so I grew a beard. I didn't want to clean my apartment, really, just basically like folding my sheets and stuff like that. Eventually I did after a couple of days, just kind of chilling out, but it sucked. It sucked for that first week, especially.
Okay. And so it sounds like you've made a pretty good recovery because it sounds like you're back on track now. How long did it take for the symptoms to subside?
They diminished to a point of like functionality, I'd say after 4.5 to 5 days. I still was still sick. I still uh, struggled to breathe. I slept upon the pots and everything, but I could do everything else I needed to do in my normal day to day pretty well. And then that second week, I was cool. I was just kind of just writing off the last bit of it. But I'd say that for that first week, especially the first 3 days when it was at its most severe, it was you didn't want to do anything. You barely want to turn on the TV to watch Netflix. And if you do, you like, oh, my humidifier's out of water, and like the air's getting drier by the second. You can feel that, with your coughs, like your nose is burning. Um, like a very extreme flu for me, and it was pretty bad. So I'd say that's how it was over the course of the time that I had it.
And are you? Did you confirm that it was COVID by testing, or did you just assume it was COVID, or how did you communicate with any medical professionals while you had the disease? What was going on there? What was your interaction with the medical perspective?
Yeah, so like like most places, I had to take like a test every day. I reported that I had symptoms. And I immediately scheduled a test, and so I didn't have to wait. They tell you, if you don't, here at least in Terre Haute, if you can schedule a test, no matter what day you schedule, if there's availability, you can just go to the hospital. You can go wherever they're holding the test, and you can get tested there. And you just have to let them know that you think you have the disease. They take the proper precautions. They swab you, whatever the test is. So I drove to the hospital. They gave me the test there. I was in my car. They had gloves and face guard, shield, and all that. They swabbed me, and then they gave me my results back the next day. And typically, when I get my results back for other tests, it was like they just simply send you a text message that, hey, you don't have it, you're good. This time, they actually called me, had someone on the phone with me, and I had to take a long survey. I had to get surveyed by the hospital, then the city, and then someone in the federal government for statistics purposes to see how I progressed. They wanted me to monitor my progress through the disease, when things subsided, when did I catch it, when did I have symptoms. All those questions came to me very frequently.
Okay. I see. So I imagine that's pretty tough to do, like answering all those survey questions while you're ill. Okay.
You just say, yeah, about 3 days ago. Yeah, and like yeah, and like your throat hurts. It hurts real bad, especially like because they call you in the morning. You're a government employees, and they're calling you in the morning, and like you're just trying to get through it as quick as possible. Yeah, it's not fun.
Okay. And then, is that the same experience that your family had? Because you said that they all contracted the COVID virus as well. So did they also have to do all of this, like talking to federal agents, taking surveys, things like that?
That I don't know if that was because like some technically an employee of the government, because I work for a state university. So I don't know if that was something that I specifically had to go through. But I never inquired to my family if they had to do the thing, do all that stuff. I assume my sister did, because she also works for another university. Shout outs to PFW. But make that face. It's a fine establishment. Um, whatever. But I don't know if they had to go through that. But in terms of symptoms, I'd say my case, my sisters, and my two parents are all very similar. I think my brother Donald just got. He just got a high fever and dealt with that for a while, as far as I know. And then my older brother, he just had the loss of taste and smell for like a few days, was his. So I think he got the luckiest in terms of like not having to deal with the physical strains of it. But yeah.
Okay, I see. And your family's all recovered now. They're okay?
Yes, we all recovered. There was I won't say who, but there was one death in the family. Um, my one of my actually I probably shouldn't say, just to be on the safe side, but we had one death in the family. Not my immediate family, I'll say that much. Which is tragic. Outside of that, though, everyone made a full recovery. Everyone else is fine.
I'm sorry to hear that, Levi. That's very painful. And
Sorry.
it's just it just shows that this virus is very much. I mean, I think we joke about it a lot when we have conversations, but it is a very real threat to a lot of people.
I mean, that's kind of how you get through. That's how most people who have a little bit of a sense of humor. That's how they kind of deal with trauma, with bad situations. But yeah, just because you make a joke about something doesn't mean that you don't take it very seriously. I know I have friends, colleagues, and other people in my life, that make jokes, but they don't take it seriously. That's always concerning to me. But it is a very real experience. Even if you're someone who's completely healthy, I mean, you know how much I exercise and how healthy I try to be, and it took me out. I was in rough shape, man. And then I also fear for because I think some people think like, oh, like once, it's this kind of like young person's vision, like I'm not gonna die from it, so like why worry? Some people my age do, and then also it's just very easy to make one little careless decision, and if you happen to have it, you can give it to someone else who can give to someone who's more of an at-risk person, and then they may not recover from it. They may pass away very suddenly, which was an instance that affected my family personally. I won't say exactly what happened, but there was one person, um, these two people, they were married, but they took off one time. Outside of this, they were completely safe, didn't go anywhere, didn't attend any functions, called in groceries, did all the stuff, Germex, anything they needed, masks, everything at all times. Then one time they went to go visit someone else, one city over, like 15, 20-minute drive, contracted it, someone died.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's the scary part about it, right? Because you can't see it. It's a virus. You can't see
Mm-hmm.
where it is, and that's the scary part. Is that you're not sure if you're safe or if you're clean, and you try to take precautions, but you're never 100% sure, right? Like even the soap that we use, it says 99.9% effective.
Mm-hmm.
They're covering their
Yeah.
butts there because they
Yeah.
know that just because you wash your hands. I'm not saying that you shouldn't wash your hands. That's not what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
Then why bother?
Just wash your
it's
hands.
all it's all a farce.
But I mean, you can't account for some things because mm, it really is. It's almost impossible to control if you're not able to. How do I put this? I guess the way that I see it is like this. There's so many variables at work with the way that America has handled, the way that the United States has handled the coronavirus because they haven't really handled the coronavirus. So um, there's a lot of variables at work, right? People are basically free to travel borders in terms of states. You can go anywhere, and people are flying to Hawaii. I see on Instagram people are flying to other states, and it's like a normal thing. And it just and there's no real restriction. I mean, sometimes they're going to tell you at the grocery store you have to wear a mask, but you don't see people really wearing. You see all the time people that are just barely wearing it, right? And they're touching their face all the time when they're wearing that mask, and it defeats the purpose. Like it feels like you're fighting a battle not against the virus but against other people. Like it really feels like you're not able to fight the virus until you're able to fight like all of this ignorance or all of this like this pushback for some reason. I don't know how to describe it in any other way than that.
No, I've had a litany of conversations with a litany of people. And they have their views on it. I kind of come down onto the fact that it, like at least from a courtesy standpoint, from people who are very afraid of what this can do, because it obviously can do damage to people and it can lead to death. Um, Whether you don't really believe in the validity or how the effectiveness of like mass using hand sanitizer or the social distancing, at least out of I would say at least out of respect for these people that are concerned or people that have lost, family members, friends, so on and so forth. Wear the mask, do the protocol. Even if it's just like a slight chance that it would save someone's life, that to me is a chance worth taking. Um, so please, always wear the mask. Please, just do everything else you need to do. And then, as we see, there's vaccines on the way, and it'll prevent the spread. It'll keep it from just going to other people, and hopefully this can get over sooner. Like other countries have successfully done at this point, and hopefully, we can too in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, you say chance, like take the chance to wear it, or I guess if there's a chance that it can't. I mean, it's not even a chance. It is. It's kind of it's it's like you win a game by scoring more points, right? It's not like you have a chance of winning if you score more points. It's just you win the game if you score more points. You help prevent the spread by wearing the mask and by washing your hands. And by socially distancing. I guess it's just shocking to me because even people that I work with here in Seattle, they'll be talking about how they went to another state to go to a restaurant and they were eating inside the restaurant with their friends. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God,
Mm.
has none of this sunk in? We've been doing this for a year now. How has this not sunk in that we're stuck because of that kind of behavior? This kind of behavior is the reason why we're still stuck. And I don't know. I don't want to, what's the word? Belittle people for doing things like that. But I think there comes a point where you're just, there's very few situations where I feel there's an objectively right or wrong answer. But I feel like there's not a lot of right in how some people are approaching this. It's really frustrating to me. There's not a lot of right about it.
No, it's infuriating. I think it's more infuriating when, especially when if you have people who are close to you in your life who just throw it off as if like it's no big deal, only because it didn't affect them. If they happen to catch it, it didn't affect them that hard, or if they have no personal experience that it affected other people within their lives. So they're like, yeah, it's no big deal. I think it'd be very easy for me to say, yeah, I got sick. It was a terrible flu, but I'm all better now, so I don't have to follow protocols. And hey, anyone can get it. It's okay. It's fine. It's no big deal. But the fact matters, that's just not true. That's irresponsible. That's not cool to say in layman's terms. At the very least, uh, these are people's lives here. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I always hoped and prayed that like it would never reach my family. And they live in more of a small rural town. And at the time when it first started, place was pretty clean, it didn't hit them. But over time it eventually came there. And then when my family had it, I can't tell you how many times, to get it a little more personal, is that like when I was here in Terre Haute thinking about my parents having the virus, I was scared to death, you know that that something bad was going to happen. My father's had heart surgery, and they've had breathing issues in the past. They are older. Not old, but like they're older people. And it's like I was thinking every day, like, what if like the last time I talked to my dad or my mom, that was the last time I was going to talk to them. You know, and it may have been the result just because someone thought it's okay to go out to a bar once. It's okay to touch this person's hand because this thing isn't real. It's okay not to wear a mask because masks don't do anything at all or barely do anything, so why bother wearing it? If that's the reason I lose someone or someone in my life suffers, that makes it a million times worse because it's
Yeah.
so preventable.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of things to be said about indulging yourself personally. I do miss, I mean, everyone misses going out. Everyone misses quarantine, life before quarantine. But there's a reason why we're in quarantine, and there's a reason why we've been stuck in quarantine for so long, is because we haven't been able to rally around this idea of just staying put for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Instead, those 2 weeks have become a year, right? It's become 10 to 11 months, and it's going to be much longer. So that's how I see it. And I'm sorry that it's affected your family. Luckily for me, I haven't had any cases. None of my family members, either immediate or like kind of close relatives, none of them have had any issues with it. But I think my family is fairly cautious in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I'm sorry to hear about your family, and I'm hoping that your parents are doing well, right? Because it sounds like
They,
they've recovered.
they have recovered. And I think the only thing I can really add is that if you're someone who looks like, I would always say, quarantine yourself the best you can. limit human interaction, stuff like that. But if you're someone who's looking for like even like social distance activities, because those are obviously still going on there, people are trying to figure out how to like continue on society in a social manner but still being safe. If you're going to do that, just remember that, as I said before, still wear the mask, still wear the hand sanitizer, keep the distance that you're supposed to from other people. I feel like some people, like, they use it, like when this stuff kind of happens, they use it as an excuse, like once they're in the position, oh, we can crowd around each other, we can get close to each other and like talk to each other's faces, like, you know, like inches apart. We can just have free range to do everything we want because they gave us this little bit of leeway. That's not what it's for. That's not what that's for. You know, still be responsible, be smart. You know, as Darren said earlier, it's an invisible thing. You can't see it. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. To quote Small Soldiers. Yeah,
That's a,
yeah.
that's an old movie. Kristen Dunst. That's the only actor I remember from that movie. Kristen Dunst.
To date myself, the man who said he wasn't old, quoting Small
Wait.
Soldiers.
Small Soldiers is the movie with the toys that.
The toys, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I was thinking of. Because there's another movie called, I think, Toy Soldiers, which is very different.
Yes, very different movie.
Yeah.
Very different movie.
So I wanted to make sure I was right because I thought you were talking about that. We were on the same page. Okay, cool.
Yes, well, we're there. But no, but that saying, you know, is from even, it's a weird movie, but like, that's true. Just because you can't see the disease doesn't mean that it can't affect you. It can't touch you.
They were referring to wind in that movie.
They were, and you know what wind can do? It can carry a disease down the street into somebody's mouth. You know, if you're not wearing a mask. So please be careful. But yes, that's the last thing I have to say. So, you know, just be courteous and be kind, and just please be safe. Really be safe.
I think for me, I want to close on a positive note in the sense that there are so many things you can do without interacting with people, right? I mean, I've gone a whole year of doing stuff without really meeting anybody except my girlfriend, and my parents. So I mean, I keep it as limited as possible. So video games is a big one for me, but also there's online board games, which is basically video games, but you get to play all of the classics. Then, like, I guess Zoom calls and these kinds of calls are okay. They're not as much fun for sure, but if you, like Levi, if you had a PlayStation, we could play. there's no issue.
Yeah, I haven't.
You
I
just
haven't
don't have stuff.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a big tech savvy guy. You know, Darren knows that. But that's all true, man. That's all true. You know, in my time here in quarantine, I read a crap ton of books. I've delved into writing more because I have the time to do it. I have a home gym, so I don't have to leave my house, really. And then doing Zoom calls. I know, like, people are striving to be with other people. I can tell you, like, doing Zoom calls and try to make it more fun, make like a game night. You can do like the Jackbox game stuff. Darren does trivia stuff when we meet up with other friends online, you know, and that connection, even though it's not quite what you want, that's much better than nothing. And, you know, and it's a lot safer than just saying one time, let's go out, you know, so there is a lot of stuff you can do. You can still enjoy yourself in this time. And when things get all better, you know, you can go back to what you were doing before in a capacity.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be a bit weird to actually go back to normal life. I can't imagine going to a club anymore. I feel like I have PTSD.
It's gonna be weird. I would definitely say this. Like, I remember one time when the stuff was first happening, when everyone was rushing to the grocery stores, and everything, and it was always weird, you know, running into people. But I remember being there, masks, you know, bundled up and everything, gloves and whatnot. But there was a moment where I got cash back, and the cashier had to give me change, and our pinkies just grazed each other, and it was really weird to just touch another human, even by accident, even the slightest bit. Anyway, and I kind of freaked out, but kind of composed myself, you know, even though I was wearing gloves and everything. But it was just a weird thing to like have a physical contact with another human being, because you're just not supposed to. And that was just very odd. And I think those sorts of things it will take a little time mentally to get over that once this is over.
Does your girlfriend know that you had such an intimate relationship with the cashier? Has she heard about this?
She knows this happened. Yes.
And she's okay with it.
We're
Okay.
free spirits, Darren.
I actually was watching a movie on Netflix called Newness. It's about. Have you seen that movie, Newness?
I haven't
I
seen this one
didn't.
yet.
I didn't finish it, but it's basically about an open relationship. It's about two people in an open relationship, and it's. I won't give a full review, but because I didn't finish it, but it's a bit weird. Not. I think the concept is fine, but the characters are not very likable. So it doesn't really get you on board. You're kind of like, I kind of just wish they would break up, honestly.
Well, once you see the rest of the movie, maybe that'll change, or
Maybe.
more than likely, because I know you, like it probably won't, but maybe it will. You never know.
Maybe because I didn't finish the movie. So, but there's a
Yeah.
reason why I didn't finish the movie. I kind of got sick of it.
Typically, if you like can't, if like there's some instances where like you're just like I'm too tired, I gotta finish this later. But if you're like wide awake and like you're trying to watch a movie and you're just I guess I'll finish this another time. Then it's probably not for you.
Yeah, I watched Casino Royale after that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a great movie.
I'm up for this. I'm into this.
Oh yeah, I can watch
and
this all day.
and you and I, we watched a fair share of bad movies on Netflix, and like it was a struggle for us. So I understand. I get you, man.
Anyway, I hope for a day when we can all be non-quarantine. I hope for the day that COVID is a distant past. All right. I think 2020 will be like a year like 1914, or when did World War II start? 1936. 1937.
Wait. Are you saying you're clamoring for like? I just wish it was more like back when like World War II hit, when people came together, and saw each other, face to face. I wish we had those days back.
No, but I feel like 2020 is a momentous year in human history because it's the year that the world stayed home and they didn't want to.
Yeah, I will say. Last thing before we leave is that obviously we talk about a lot of negative stuff. As we touched on before, there's positive things you can do, but I think a lot of positivity did come out of this. I think a lot of people did learn to value other human beings. They learned to value the simple joy of just going outside, of just seeing someone else. And I think once things start going back into more of a normal state, I don't think as many people are going to take that for granted. Because these restrictions have taught us, at least not everyone, but hopefully a good chunk of the population, that there's a lot of pleasure to be had in just the very simple things, which I think is pretty cool.
If there's one thing I've learned, it's that things never really change. So I don't.
We're ending on a positive note, Darren. We said positive.
And since the world is so positive before, it will stay positive forever.
Yeah, you did it. I'm so proud of you. Very proud of you. I'm really happy. I'm really happy. I'm so happy. I'm gonna go watch Small Soldiers after this.
Okay, you do that.
It's it's a fun dumb movie.
That was the first time I heard Led Zeppelin. That movie. They had
That was it.
Yeah.
That was your introduction to Led Zeppelin. I'm
There's
happy
a
for you.
scene
See,
in that movie where they're like building a car or something. I think the bad soldier is building like a
are you talking?
car.
Are you talking? No, I think you're referring to the scene where they're building their army of people, like out of other toys, and it's
Yeah.
another one bites the dust by Queen is playing.
No, but that I do remember that. But there's another scene where they played Communication Breakdown.
Oh wait, you're right. I know what scene you're talking about. When they're modifying their vehicles, it's before that happens.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
are correct.
So they're definitely, because I definitely remember Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
And it
man.
was playing, I think, Communication Breakdown. I was like, wow, that's a cool song. I want to know what this is. And I was like asking my parents, you know what song this is? And they're like, no.
No.
No, I don't
What are
know.
these? What are these small soldiers? What are these?
What are you doing? No, they have They have a different accent. They're like this. What are they doing? I can't do a British accent. I've been watching the Great British Baking Show, and I'm trying to learn how to do a British accent. It's not going very well.
I wish you could see your girlfriend looking at you from behind when you're trying to do your British accent. She just jolts over. I think she knows we're talking about her now.
She has no idea. I'm listening to you're on my headphones. She can't hear a thing. She has no idea.
I don't know. She's shaking her head and she looks very suspicious.
She's shaking her head because there's actually blood oozing from my walls. Ah!
Oh, there's a serious problem. Okay, I didn't realize there was such a
contractor.
There's blood. Everything's cool, but there's blood oozing out of the ceiling and the walls. Should I be concerned?
Oh, it does that from time to time. Don't worry about it.
It'll go away.
I'll go away. I'll be doing a big jiffy. I'm going to say anything. You know what I can do? You know what I can do this? All right. It'll be 45, 50. What are you saying?
It's amazing that's better than your British accent.
Cock blimey. I can't do it.
I don't think it's gonna get better than that, Darren.
Bread. Bakers. We would like you to make bread today on this week's challenge.
You're just saying things from the show. Rolls. Pie. I'm going to make a custard pie with marzipan and lemon crust. I don't know. That sounds like a British thing. The texture's good, but I'm not getting enough of that flavor's not coming through enough. You really didn't prove it properly. I can tell that it's a bit flat. You see, because you didn't prove it and then you put it in the oven for a little bit too long. It's dry. You overbaked it. Overall, it was a nice attempt. See, right here, it's supposed to have a golden, flaky crust, but see, it's all mushed together like some melting marshmallow. It just doesn't have it, But the flavors are pretty good. Anyway, that's the Great British Baking Show. You don't have to watch. You can just watch Rice and Spice. You can just rewind this part of the podcast and just listen to it over and over again. That's the whole show. That is the whole show. Paul Hollywood. It is the delightful show. It's kind of like if Guy Fieri was like a very normal person with a normal haircut. I see that guy as the male host. I see him as like normal type Guy Fieri. And then, like, the lower version is Guy Fieri. And then Guy Fieri. What is Guy Fieri? He's Emerald Lagasse, but American. And Emerald Lagasse is Rachel Ray. He was fat. She's fat. All right, so my analogy. And Rachel Ray is Alton Brown with boobs. It made sense to me, Darren. And Alton Brown is Bobby Flay. Are we getting it? You've made your point. I'm just surprised at how many Food Network stars I can remember. That was actually very impressive. That was very impressive. Okay, I think that's a good place to stop. I think people cut out when we started talking about the Great British Baking Show, but I think they'll be very sorry that they did. But it's okay. But because they missed all the nostalgia from old Food Network. I haven't seen Food Network in a long time, but I hope that it still has that same level of quality that I grew up with. It still has that same kick. It still has that same bam. It's still there. Bam. Good eats. That's not bam. 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 Bam.